On now, Susan.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, coming to you in front of my brick wall here in my office. Because I've been giving away all my stuff for free for so long, this is where I have to do my EE Lives from now. It's a very poor area of town because I can't afford an office. And so now I am, unfortunately, outside on the street doing these broadcasts live. So I will establish a collection plate for me at the end of the EE Live Q&A where you guys can donate money to help Mark get back into his home because he doesn't have any more money left. Okay, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. Holthe immigration law is alive and well, and it is flourishing. And I am so busy, I want to express appreciation to all of you amazing people who have been so supportive, who have just made this new launch everything that I hoped it would be. So actually, as you can see, I am experimenting with my green screen behind me here, and I'm yet to find a good one. I could be broadcasting here from this lovely castle, apparently, or I could also be broadcasting from my new home office. Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't look like a very good home office. It's way, way too neat. That's too neat for me. Or maybe this one. Oh, the moving tunnel. Now that will make you guys all sick if I broadcast from that one. So instead, let's just keep it the nice brick background. I don't have the lighting perfect because I don't have all those fancy lights. So there's a little bit of a distortion in this. But this is me. I'm back. And I apologize for being away 2 weeks. It has been an eternity. There's been so much going on. Got my daughter back down to school in Idaho. She's super happy, excited about that. But it required me to be away over the EE Live Q&A scheduled time last Tuesday. So my sincerest apologies for missing it on short notice, and thanks for your patience. We've got Ralph here. As always, Ralph, good to see you, my good friend. Diksha's here. She says, hey, Mark, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Diksha. Ralph says, fake wall, haha. Yes, Ralph was totally on to me. He knew I was messing with you guys. Ashish says, hello, good evening, Mark. Hello, Ashish, good to see you. Diksha says, haha, good one. Harry King, are you inside a rusty basement? Oh, yeah, man, that's exactly where I am. Karen says, Karen's, she's given me some happy faces. So it's great to have all of you guys connected. Katamba says, the nicest lawyer. Hope you left enough upkeep to the daughter. Well, the reality is the daughter is definitely draining the funds, but you know what? She's worth it. She's pretty awesome. Okay. Harry King says, right off the bat, he's firing away questions. Come on, Harry. You know I don't answer questions until we get to that time. Well, because you're my good bud and friend and have been around for so long. He says, any reason why 9 months has become the new 6 months for the federal skilled worker? Pretty simple. Supply and demand, my man. Supply and demand. And when they don't have enough officers to process, for years they've devoted all the officers to express entry to make sure they were meeting their 6-month standard because that was the mandate. But the reality is, people are kind of getting used to express entry, so they can quietly pull people away from express entry and assign them to all the other areas where the processing times are insane. So that's probably why, Harry, but I don't really have an answer. I'm just guessing. But yeah, you just have to accept the fact that be grateful you're in the queue, and then you move forward with faith. All right. Okay. Chocolate says, hello from Chile. Welcome. It's great to have you. And with that introduction, I also want to let all of you guys know that I have a new associate working with me by the name of Susan Wood. And Susan has graciously agreed to join me on this crazy EE Live Q&A to introduce herself. So those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this EE Live Q&A usually happens every Tuesday at noon, Mountain Standard Time. You can send in your questions by sending them to info@holthelaw.com. And of course, I didn't put that. I didn't include here. The email, but Maybe later I'll post it once we get going a little bit further. But you can send an email to info@holthylaw.com, and that's where you can post your questions. And I have a bunch of people that have sent in their questions to me. My new intake specialist, Maricia Carr, has been gratefully, at least for me, I'm grateful, putting everything together in one nice little email so that I can work through this and answer those questions first. Then I'm going to dive in and help all of you guys with your questions who are attending this session live. So welcome. As I indicated there, those people who are wanting to have their questions answered, you have to wait a little bit till after we get through the written ones. Then I'll give you the sign. Then you can start posting and I will answer all the questions. Now, Ralph, Susan lives up in Edmonton. So Susan is my associate. She lives up in Edmonton with you. And Ralph is posting, hello from Edmonton, Alberta, minus 32 degrees. And I know that Susan is freezing too. And in all honesty, it's pretty cold down here too. So let's see here what we've got for temperature. I love posting this. Okay, so it's not quite as cold down here. You guys can kind of see this. Whoa. Well, actually you can't because of my green screen. What the heck's going on? Well, kind of, you can see it. That's weird. See, the dilemmas with doing green screen. Let's see if I can show it better here. Oh, you can kind of see it there. Lethbridge, 24 degrees. Minus, that is. But up in Edmonton, minus 32. So those of you who are in Alberta, yes, indeed, it's a cold one. All right, well, why don't I pull Susan in here, and then I'm going to have Susan introduce herself. So let's see if we can make this work. It's been a while since I brought a guest in. Susan, you are live. Welcome to the Express Entry Live Q&A. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So,
is my voice coming through?
It is. I think everybody, and those of you, if you can hear Susan good and you can hear me, give us a thumbs up. But Susan is my new associate who's working with Holthy Immigration Law. And as many of you probably are aware right now, this is a virtual firm. So we have the great pleasure of working out of our homes. We have some office space available as well for our local clients that want to meet in person. But we found it's just so much more efficient, so much easier for us to do it from a virtual standpoint than trying to offer services through this cumbersome office. So that's what we're super excited about. So I've got Susan, who's been the first one to jump on board, and we're going to expand across the country and basically take over the world. So Susan, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
So I'm, as Mark said, I'm working up, sorry.
You're good.
I'm getting distracted, Mark, because I can see you still talking on Skype, and I think I'm talking over you.
I usually shut it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so, so I'm up in Edmonton. Mark didn't tell you is in 2011, 2012, Mark was my principal. In Canada, lawyers have to work for a year under the supervision of someone with a certain number of years of experience before they're allowed to become a lawyer. And Mark was my principal. So he's the one that trained me up in immigration law. And even before I articled, he would help me when I was working at the Community Legal Center giving information to temporary foreign workers. So we go back a long way. I have a lot of respect for Mark, and I'm sure you all do too, for just having gotten to know him on the Express Entry Facebook information. He really knows a lot, and I'm really looking forward to working with him.
That's super exciting. And I want to jump in and quickly just say two little things about Susan. So many people say, well, what does it take to work with Holthy Immigration Law? Well, one, you have to be smart. You have to understand your stuff. But two, you have to care. And Susan, one of the things that impressed me the most, like that Edmonton Community Legal Center, like that was for a large part was volunteer. Just kindness, giving back to people who didn't have anywhere else to turn. So built right into her, baked inside of her is this desire and ability to help. Well, a desire to help people. And she actually cares, which is right at the top. That's probably care is even more important than being smart. But she has them both. So that's why I was so excited to have her join me. So you're up in Edmonton, Susan, and you're going to be joining me and working with me as an associate.
Yes.
Why immigration? What brought you into immigration of all the areas? Because once you finished your articles with me, you could have practiced in any area. You had a few little stints with some other firms doing some other things, but why immigration?
I really like the personal side of immigration. I like the personal connection with the clients. I think that immigration decisions affect not just the person that I'm dealing with face to face, it affects their children, it affects their family generations down the line. It's a major, major decision, and it's tricky. I know that Canada Immigration tries to make it easy for people to do it themselves. They've got a lot of information online, and they're doing a better and better job about that, but it's still complicated, and small decisions, small errors can really have a bad effect on your application. And I also felt that it's really important to protect people from bad government decisions, because sometimes government officers get jaded. You know, they've been working there a long time, and they don't feel as sympathetic as or as open to the clients as they did when they started. And it's important to keep pushing to make sure that the clients get what they're eligible for, that the officer understands what they're eligible for and really looks carefully at why this person should be granted whatever application they're applying for, whether it's temporary residence or permanent residence to Canada. So there's the two elements. There's just the face-to-face friendliness and helpfulness, and then also making sure people are treated fairly and properly, and that they get what they're entitled to.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. That pretty much sums up, like I said, why I wanted Susan to come and join me and work with me. So we're really excited about the future. We're working really hard to get all of our systems and processes in place so that every interaction our clients have with our firm is a positive one, and that it's quick, and that it's efficient, and that it's correct. And above all, that people feel when they come and hire us, that they feel like family, that they feel like we care about them. So that's what's driving the ship. So as we go forward, one of the most important parts for me is to have other people that can come in and help. So I don't know if many of you realize this, but I opened up the door to do as many consults as I could over the last little while, just to be able to help as many people as I could. And today I have 11 consultations with people in addition to this EE Live Q&A. And it's not sustainable. And I've had many people who were really disappointed that they couldn't get in to see me sooner. I am not the perfect immigration lawyer. I do not know everything there is to know about immigration. I care. I know where to find information. And when I don't know, I know where to look for it. And so what I'm saying is I'm not the only person in the world that can actually provide help and assist individuals who are trying to navigate this crazy world that we call express entry, or any immigration for that matter. So that's why I'm bringing on people like Susan, who are every bit as competent and qualified as I am, that care every bit as much as I do, to also work with people as they come in and want a consultation and want assistance. And so it's my way of being able to leverage everything that I'm doing, teach other people kind of the Mark Holthe way of doing things, and then have them support you guys as well. And that's why I've got Susan here. So going forward, she'll be taking some consultations for me, and she'll be building up, and we're gonna, we're equals professionally, and so we're really, really excited to be able to have other people who care like I do, so that I can service more people. And so I don't know, Susan, if you have anything more to add before you drop off the line and kind of float around in the background there in on the Facebook page. But do you have any other thoughts or any other comments before you say goodbye?
I'd just like to say I'm looking forward to meeting all of you and getting to work with you. And I hope it can help you achieve the goals that you want. And I'll just say, it's a funny thing, like my family has been in Canada for actually centuries, literally. They came from Scotland and France a long time ago. But the thing is, I grew up in Nova Scotia, which is a province on the eastern side of Canada, and I grew up with stories about why my family came to Canada all that time ago. And so I understand that it's a really significant decision. And I'd like to, I do take it seriously, and I do want to help you however I can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. Okay, well, we'll let you drop off here, off of the call. There you go. And we'll disconnect our Skype connection. And yeah, just chime in with the chat, Susan, during the call.
Great.
Thanks so much. Okay, take care. All right. That was awesome. So there you have it. There's number one. That's the first associate who is joining me, and there will be plenty more to come as I continue forward with expanding this operation. I would show you my office, but it's a disaster. It is a complete disaster zone. That's why I've got this funky brick wall behind me, and I'm going to be using that for the next little while till I sort things out. But I had a great idea. And what I thought was, I'm going to broadcast, I'm going to do my live Q&As from different locations in the world. And so what I'm asking for you guys is to send me pictures like this, where I can use it as a backdrop to show I'm in a castle, or I've got this lovely colorful shelf behind me, or I'm in a tunnel that's making you dizzy. Whatever it is, send me your background picture from your country, and then I will choose the best picture and obviously make it so that it's kind of fun in the background. But that's where I'm going to broadcast from for my future EE Live Q&As. I'm going to pull it up as a green screen behind me, and that's where I'm going to be hosting it from. And it's going to be fun until I get my office sorted up, because if I showed you what was going on, it is completely insane. I can't believe the response that I've gotten just from starting this awesome little healthy immigration law right here. I never ever dreamed that the response would be so amazing. And I'm able to do things that I never was before, incorporating technology to make things more efficient, to make the process easier. And I'm slowly starting to discover the best way of building my firm and the best way of providing services to you guys so that I can actually help. And most importantly of all, so that I can do more of these live Q&As, teaching, helping people to navigate the crazy world of express entry and all the other areas of immigration. So, with that being said, I want to start off with just today's stories, okay? Just today's stories. Now, I want to put a caveat out there, and the caveat is I personally know some immigration consultants that are phenomenal, that are excellent practitioners, that are knowledgeable, that care, that do great work. But I can tell you, they are so far in the minority. The number of consultants out there that have no clue what they're doing, it's scary. And so let me share some stories with you today. And I know I'm going to offend consultants, and that's fine. I don't care if I offend you, because the reality is you do nothing to protect the public from all of the awful consultants that are out there. And I'm hoping that the changes that are happening, maybe they'll make a difference. But the reality is right now I'm in a situation where I have consults with people every day who have listened to the advice of a consultant, a regulated consultant. This isn't an illegal one. This is someone who's authorized to provide services. And their lives now are screwed up. So let me start with the first one. And understand, guys, this is just this morning. 3 people, 2 I can't help at all. The third one I'm crossing my fingers I can. So to start off with, one individual was counseled that she did not need to include her dependent child in her application, her express entry application, because she didn't have anything to do with the child. The child was with a former spouse, and she hasn't had anything to do with them. And so she was counseled that she didn't need to include them in her application. Of course, what happened? And who counseled? It was a consultant. And what was the end result? Well, of course, the person's application was returned. So fortunately for her, she's working in Canada, and I can save this. I can fix this. We can resubmit, and we can get things corrected and put her back on track. But she's lost like 3 months of time. The next person, relied on the advice of a consultant to file a study permit application. And they had already attended school, obtained a useless 1-year diploma, got their 1-year postgrad work permit, because that's all you can get if you only study for a year. So tip number 1 from Mark, don't waste your time going to school in Canada for 1 year to get some useless diploma and then only get a 1-year postgrad. It's not enough time to help you to get where you need to be. So this person did that. They got their 1-year diploma, their 1-year postgrad, and then of course, with 2 days left in their application, and I'm not even going to touch on the fact that the consultant was charging them illegally a fee to do the LMIA application, the company, 2 days to go with the work permit, pulls out and says, sorry, we can't get an LMIA for you. And then they were hooped. They had nowhere that they could work. Their work permit was expiring. So then they hired another consultant to advise them. They said, go to school. Okay. Well, they then, actually, I'll stand corrected. I'll take a step back. The person applied to extend their stay as a visitor, but did it wrong. They applied for a temporary resident visa, which is something outside of Canada and not a visitor extension inside Canada. So their application was returned. It wasn't submitted properly. Then they hired a consultant who said, why don't you go back to school? So the person went back, got admitted to another school, applied for the study permit, but that person was in a restoration period. They had 90 days to submit their study permit application. But here's the problem. The consultant did not realize the law. The consultant assumed that the 90 days started from the date that the TRV application was refused. But in fact, the 90-day period to restore status in Canada actually started from the time period when their work permit application or their work permit was expired, essentially. And so because of that, when they filed the study permit, it was beyond the 90-day window, and the person now has got that refused. They literally have no options. And today I had to give them the bad news that, sure, they could try an H&C application, a humanitarian and compassionate. They could look at potentially filing a temporary resident permit or a work permit, or even to restore through a TRP to, not restore, but to allow them to stay. But there's no pathway forward. There's none. And so the likelihood of an H&C is probably 10%. And I don't file applications that have a remote chance of success. So I had to tell this person that they have to go back. And then the third person today relied on advice to work in a certain occupation that they thought was going to be just fine. But after going through the document checklist with them, going through their reference letters that have been provided, identifying the knock code, I had to tell them that their knock code was as a retail salesperson, not as a manager. And in her case, fortunately, she has a fiancé who's immigrating to Canada and has the ability to then include her as a dependent in his express entry. But for her, she's just blown away a whole year relying on the advice of someone that did not know what they were doing. And this is what I face, guys. 2 of those situations, the person wasn't forever harmed. But one of them, if they had only talked to someone who knew what they were doing earlier on, had not relied on the advice of someone who didn't know what they're doing. But how do you know? How in the world do you guys know who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't? I do not claim to be perfect. I don't. But I do claim to care. And I do claim to make the effort to know the law and to provide advice that is not based on what's in my best interest as a lawyer and what's going to line my pocket with the most money, but advice that will genuinely help you. And sometimes that advice is you don't qualify. Your only option really is to go home and reestablish yourself in your home country. That's often my advice, but it's honest and advice that you can rely upon. So that's my pet peeve of the day. That's kind of the highlight topic of the day. And it's getting worse, everyone. With the numbers of consultants growing and everybody claiming to be experts, how in the world do you know? And most people rely on a friend who had used a consultant previously or some other representative, and I want to qualify, while I'm getting all of these hate messages from consultants, that there are lawyers that dabble that may not know exactly what they're doing. But I can tell you, if that lawyer screws up and that lawyer mismanages your file and it results in you suffering a harm, you can go to the Law Society and they take it extremely seriously. Unlike the Consultant Association, which over the past how many years has done virtually nothing to protect the public. Now, I know efforts are taking place to try to hopefully make that better. And in all honesty, I wish them all the best. But I'm afraid in 5 years' time or 4 years' time, whenever we revisit this again, that it's going to be the same situation. And the public, you who can't tell the difference who most consultants say there's no difference between a lawyer and a consultant, and that's fine. You can say whatever you want to. All I know is the experience I've had has been a nightmare, and I feel terrible for all of these people. And most of the time I ask them, well, why did you consider using this person over another? And, many times they say, well, I thought I was dealing with a lawyer. Other times they say that the actual person was referred by someone else. And you're going to trust them, right? And everybody makes mistakes. And I don't want to slag every single consultant out there who ever made a mistake, because I'm not perfect. We have made mistakes in my office. But the one difference I will say is that I care. And when I look at the other consultants and the people that come to see me, why in the world are they coming to see me? That consultant should be doing everything in their power to try and fix things, instead of them having to come to me after the fact. So I'm going to leave that aside. I know I've used up a big portion of time venting today, but it's frustrating. It's so disheartening. And the federal government is propping up the consultants once again. They're giving them the opportunity to regulate and police, and I truly hope that it works. I genuinely do. But at this stage, it's just been so disheartening for me. All right, enough of that blithering on. You guys have been so patient. Now it is time. And Arthur says, does that happen with lawyers too? There are lawyers that do make mistakes. Absolutely. Especially if you're relying upon your paralegal to do everything and you're not monitoring things carefully, right? So lawyers do make mistakes. And if they make a mistake, there's actually a regulatory body you can go to that can actually disbar them from ever practicing law again if the matter is serious enough. So we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to talk about any more about that. Now I'm going to focus on all of you guys. So now let's start with the people who sent in questions via email first, and then I'm going to get to answering all of your questions. All right? Okay, so the first question that I have here, this one is from Ankush, and Ankush says, please, hi Mark, please could you answer below the question in the live session? Yes, I can. Happy to do it. After getting permanent residence, is there any such requirement to stay at least 6 months in each year to retain the permanent residence or become eligible for citizenship? Okay, you got two questions there. The first question is, to maintain permanent residence, do you have to live in Canada 6 months in every year? No. In fact, prior to 2002, the Immigration Act did require a requirement to stay in Canada for at least 6 months each year. But that's not the case now. The law is 2 years, and every 5-year period you have to show that you've been physically present in Canada in order to maintain your permanent resident status. So you can actually leave the country for up to almost 3 years, come back in Canada, stay in Canada for that 2 years remaining in that 5-year period, and then submit your new permanent resident card extension application. I would never ever push it that close, because sometimes there might be a need for you to leave, and you never want to be in a situation where you've been outside of Canada for more than 2 years in every 5-year period, because you could lose your permanent resident status. Now, the second question is about eligibility for citizenship. And in those situations, yes, you do, not just 6 months. There isn't a direct obligation for you to actually be physically present in Canada 6 months out of every year. But you do need to show that you've been physically present in Canada 3 years in every 5-year period, and be currently present in Canada when you file your citizenship application. So hopefully that answered your question, Ankush. Okay, this one is Zara. Zara says, Dear Mark, hope you're doing good. I am your silent listener for YouTube live sessions. Great. Well, that's awesome. And I want to say welcome to all of you who are watching this as a recording on the Canadian Immigration Institute YouTube channel. You guys are super valuable and form a lot of the questions that come in via email. So thank you. All right. And make sure that you share it with everyone you know. Okay. So can you please suggest what to do if the title of the NOC code involves 3 different careers, like 0124? Which says advertising, marketing, and public relations. Interesting, I just did a NOC code assessment for someone in that exact profession. But in the duties, they have focused all on advertising. I have experience in marketing, but the main duties in this NOC are all focused on advertising. I will appreciate your response. Okay, so Zara, let's dive in here. I'm gonna open up my computer. I'm gonna find, and I'm going to show you guys something here that's so frustrating. Let's see, 216. Okay, I'm going to share my screen, my messy screen. Okay, so here is Here's my my page I'm opening up here. So I'm going to the NOC 2016, and you'll see here that I'm actually having to use my Safari browser. Oh, that didn't work out. Let's try this again. My Safari browser, because when I'm pulling up the NOC, the National Occupational Classification System, it keeps freezing my Chrome browser. I can't figure it out. It sucks so bad. So let's go, and we're going to go search by NOC code, and we're going to type in the one that Zara identified, which is 0124. And then we're going to pull it up, and I'm going to explain what she's talking about here. So some positions like advertising, marketing, and public relations managers have 3 different positions. In this case, 4 different positions: advertising manager, marketing manager, public relations, e-business manager. Each of these has different duties, and if you scroll down, they even have different employment requirements. So why in the world they didn't just create a separate NOC for all of these, I don't know, but they didn't. So I'm going to blow this up, make this a little bit bigger so that you guys can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to make it a little bit larger too. There, I think that'll help a bit. So the question she's asking is, all of these duties relate more to advertising than marketing. Well, you cannot change this. So if you do not have duties that align with what is listed here, then you're not going to be able to claim this as your primary NOC, and you're not going to get credit for it. So that's the baseline. Now, I spend most of my consultations analyzing this with my clients to help them to really confirm which NOC code is the best fit. There has to be one, right? There has to be. And so unless you are completely working in 2 exactly different occupations, well, if that's the case, then I will look at potentially considering each of them as separate positions worked part-time. But that's a whole different discussion. So in the case of Zara here, what I want to illustrate for all of you guys is if you have a NOC code that has many different positions like this, what you need to do is just focus on one. You don't have to perform the duties of all of these. You only have to perform the duties or a substantial number of the main duties listed under each of them. So in this case, plan, direct, and evaluate the activities of firms and departments that develop and implement advertising campaigns to promote the sales of products and services. Very general, but if you can hit on that, then you're good to go. If I go down here to e-business manager, it's got plan, organize, direct, and control. Can you see this pattern? Because this is a higher level managerial position, you're going to have involvement, planning, directing, and controlling. And so evaluating the design of intranet, and mobile applications, the company's online presence, and everything from communications, commercial activities, and social media management. So that's more and more prevalent today than ever before. So that's kind of where we're at. So Zara, in your situation here, yes, you do have to have duties that are related to this. You do. You have to pick one of these. Okay, if it's advertising managers, then go with that. If that's advertising is the majority of what you do. This is very general, and you can probably fit within there. Okay, so there's your answer, Zara. That's a very, very fulsome one, but I think it was beneficial to most of the people that were tuning in. All right, next question is from Anshi. Oh, actually, this is Anshu. And Anshu says, hello, Mark. I have a question regarding claiming sibling points. My brother's in Canada, and I can claim 15 crucial points for that. Great. However, I do not have a birth certificate to claim these points. My question is in 2 parts. Is it possible for me to claim sibling points using passport? Me and my brother have a parent's name mentioned on the passport. Ha ha ha. We've had this one before, guys. Those of you who are past listeners. And then if yes, my passport contains mother's name with surname, but my brother's passport contains mother's name without a surname. Will it be a problem? Okay, so answer 1. Let's once again go back, and this time I am going to pull up my Chrome browser because I just like it better. I'm going to share my screen with all of you guys, and we're going to go to my favorite site, which is the EE Completeness Check site. And once we're here, we're going to go here and we're going to type in, I'm not sure if sibling will pull it up. Let's put family. Okay, I'll see if I can find it that way. Probably not. There's probably faster ways to do it. Okay, here we go. So proof of relationship to a relative, including, as you can see, brother or sister. Well, right off the bat, Anshu, I want to tell you that 100% yes, you can use your passport. In fact, the government actually indicates, if I go down here for proof of relationship, they actually give an example, a birth certificate, an official document naming the applicant as a relative, or a copy of the inside back cover of the relative's passport showing the relative's parents' marriage certificate, legal adoption, and any other document. So basically showing the relative's parents, essentially, is what it is. And so, yes, 100% you can do that. Especially, I do that all the time for my Indian clients. Now, the next question about the name inconsistency. Oh my goodness. You guys in India nonstop are... I've never seen so many errors in civil status documents as I have in India. At the end of the day, provide any other evidence you can to show that the mother's name, the first name in that passport, anything else that you can show that you're tied would be beneficial. But I'll be honest, and when I say tied, that you're tied as a family member, that you're siblings, and that she is the mother of both you and your other sibling. But include whatever you can get your hands on to supplement it. If you can't, excuse me, then an explanation saying, please note, this is just my mother's first name, but is your father also listed on there? And there's a good chance they're going to accept it if you've got both of them on there. All right? So you're in good shape, my friend. You are in good shape. And I also want to let everybody know that I'm answering these questions too. I just finished talking about all the horror stories that I've had with people who've made slight mistakes and then had their applications returned. At 473, I think was the last draw, there is no margin for error if you're outside of the country. If you're able to qualify at that high level, you have no ability and you just can't take any chances. And the best, I've actually stopped doing full representation for express entry. Having me take over the process from you is useless. It's not nearly as effective as this new way, this new model that I'm doing all of my immigration, which is empowering you guys to understand how to complete the forms yourself. Heck, you're going to complete my questionnaire anyways and give me the information. So filling out your own forms is not adding any more work anyways. But you file your applications through your own MyCIC portal, and then we get on a Skype call and we share. We talk about the application. We review the documents together. We draft letters of explanation. We go through every question forensically. And between the two of us, or three of us, if you're a couple, I do lots of reviews that way. That is the one way where I, Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, Vice Chair of the National CBA section for immigration, who is heavily involved in all aspects of immigration, that is the one way that I feel safe representing people, because I know you and I are going to get it right together. So that's what I'm offering. So anyone who's asking questions is at the stage where they're ready to file. For $2,500 Canadian, you get me and just me. And we work on it together as a team, collaboratively. And I love it, and I will do nothing else going forward when it comes to these types of applications, because I found that by far it is the best way. You maintain control. You are the one who drives the ship with just as much support as you need from me and my team like Susan. Okay? All right, so going forward here, let's take a look at the next question. I'm going to jump back to my ugly mug here. Next question is from Fazia, and Fazia says, Dear Mark, first of all, congratulations and wishing you all the very best for your new venture. Thank you so much. He's talking about Holthe Immigration Law. And I've got some unbelievable, I want to show you guys, I've got some unbelievable web developers who are helping me build just this awesome, awesome site. And Parrot Solutions, that's who they are. These guys are phenomenal, and we are really close to getting the website launched. Right now, if you go to Holthe Law, I put up just the bare bones, and the bare bones is, hey, I've got a new firm. Here's where you book the consultation, and then here you click on this, and that's where you can make the payment, which is so much more efficient than having you fill out a form that I manually run. Everything is more efficient. It's faster, and it's all about speed and getting things turned around as quickly as possible for all of you guys. So stay tuned, because this website is going to be awesome, and it is going to really reflect what this firm is all about. It's all about caring. It's all about actually wanting the best for your clients. It's about putting them first. It's about helping them to feel like they're actually family. That's the message. All right, let's jump back here. So Parrot is helping me do the website. Super excited about it. All right. So back to the question here at hand, which is, congratulations on your new venture. And I'm sure you will do great as always. And like I said, the consults are just astounding. I'm so busy. My question for today is post AOR, so acknowledgement of receipt, does getting a medical passed and biometric request letter mean that one has successfully passed the R10 stage of completeness check? I would request you to please explain in brief, if possible, the post AOR stages that an application goes through an express entry. Okay, so Fazia, that's a whole discussion in and of itself. So I'm not going to go through all the stages because that's a whole discussion. There wouldn't be enough time to do it. But yes, if you're at that stage, they have no reason to have any medical assessment done or biometric request sent unless you've met the acknowledgement of receipt stage, because that is when they will have completed for the completeness check stage to make sure that all the applications are, all of the forms are completed properly and the documents submitted in such a way that you actually have the ability to form a complete application. And that's what they're looking for on the acknowledgement of receipt. And an AOR, for the most part, guys, if you're thinking about applying for a bridging open work permit, the email that you get back that says, hey, we've accepted your we've got your application here, for all intents and purposes, you can use that for the purposes of the acknowledgement of receipt to then apply to extend your open work permit in Canada or your LMIA-based work permit, whatever it may be. So the AOR in the context of an express entry application is actually, you can use that letter as your confirmation for the purposes of submitting your application. Okay, great question. Okay, last one is from Carol. And Carol says, hi, I have a question for you. Can I claim points for the time I was working as an RA and TA, which is code for research assistant and teaching assistant, during my Master of Science in Canada while on a study visa? I only took classes on 2 semesters for less than 5 hours per week, and I was doing RA work 30 plus hours per week. Thanks for your help and happy holidays. So let's clarify a couple things. One, on campus, you can work more hours than 20. Off campus, you can only work 20. So that's why Kara was able to do that. In addition, the key here is that Carol was on a study visa, a student permit. So one thing, and she's asking about claiming work experience in Canada, you cannot. You cannot claim Canadian work experience while you're on a study permit. So it's as simple as that, unfortunately, Carol. You would have to wait until your study permit was transitioned to a postgrad work permit or a postdoctoral fellow or something along those lines, but a work permit in order to count the Canadian work experience. Now, I will qualify one thing. If you're on if you are currently on a study permit and you apply to extend or apply for your postgrad work permit, you can start to count that work experience from the date in which you submit your application. So that, as opposed to the date that you actually receive your postgrad work permit. So that I will qualify. All right, excellent. Those were fantastic questions. We have a great group of people that have tuned in and that are watching. Welcome to all of you. This is just a great new fresh start with Holthe Immigration Law. And now all of you kind people who have waited patiently, you are now eligible to submit your questions. So we will start here with Bipasha. And Bipasha says, sir, you remember me? Got PPR through PNP from New Brunswick last November and about to land in February, first week. Oh, that is so awesome. Sir, just wanted to ask you how long, like the minimum of how many months do we need to reside in New Brunswick and then can move to some other parts? Thanks for being so much helpful all throughout. You are simply great. Bipasha, as I tell everybody, New Brunswick put their heart and soul into you. They trusted you, your family, enough to believe that you would go to their province and you would bring all of your skills, all of your education, all of your entrepreneurialism to help make that province better. And that sacred nomination is so precious to them that they chose to give it to you and your family. So the right question to ask, Bapasha, is what are you and your family going to do as much as possible in every way to make New Brunswick your home? And when you do that and you approach it from that standpoint, amazing things can happen. Opportunities that you never dreamed can actually be realized when you take the position that I'm going to give everything to this province because they trusted me to give me a nomination, trusted that I would make a good effort to settle there. So that's the first thing I'll tell you, Bapasha. Then the second thing is sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you do your very best and you can't provide for your family. Your occupation, you can't get a job. No one's hiring. You're facing the situation where you go on social assistance or welfare, or you have to move somewhere else to provide for your family. And in those circumstances, without a doubt, you can move to other provinces. You can pursue other employment opportunities. Okay, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms grants that ability to individuals. But you never ever want to go into the position of, I'm going to be moving to New Brunswick, how soon can I leave? So that's my advice, and I know you are a good man, Bapasha. I've had lots of opportunities to connect with you. I'm so happy for you and your family. But my challenge to you is to make that opportunity in New Brunswick the best that you can make it, and show them that they were wise in choosing you. All right? Awesome. Okay. Isaac says, do you help for provincial programs? I do, Isaac. But here's the qualifier. When I'm doing PNPs, because they are so volatile, because some of the programs are only open for a short period of time, I don't take clients from the standpoint of holding their application, holding their money that they've paid me in the hopes that I can find some PNP for them. I don't do that because I could have 50,000 people that all hire Mark to be ready to submit an application to the Nova Scotia Category B. Well, how do I choose which client is more important? How do I choose which of you is more important to put ahead of the other ones? I could go first, whoever hired me first, yeah. But then why would I allow anyone else to hire me second, third, fourth, knowing that someone's ahead of them in the queue? I don't do that. I hate that process. And I despise it when consulting agencies and other firms do that, because it's ranking your own clients and they're not even being your best representative. So instead, I give my clients the tools to do it themselves. Then when they get their foot in the door, or they get a notification of interest, or they're at the stage where they're applying for their application for nomination, then I step in and I help them all the way through. I don't want to be the reason that you don't have an opportunity, because I can't push your application through quick enough to get that initial introduction in. All right, so there's the answer for that, Isaac. Okay, our boss says, hey there, Mark, you're a legend. A legend? Oh my, wow. I'm not quite sure what that means, because I know some legends that I would not want to have be known for. Maybe they're infamous legends. Hopefully I'm not infamous and I'm a legend in a positive way. But I also want to identify one other thing too. I know where my strengths are and I know where my weaknesses are. I know that there are many immigration lawyers out there that are far smarter than I am. I focus and I care and I do everything in my power, but there are definitely immigration lawyers out there that are smarter than me. But one thing I can promise is that no one cares more than I do about the work I do for my clients. No one does. And that caring leads me to do everything in my power to be able to give you the best shot possible. Now, I say no one cares more, but I'm positive that there are many, many other immigration lawyers out there that care just as much as I do, because I work with them. My involvement on the Canadian Bar Association's National Immigration Section, I see them and I interact with them every day. They come and join me on my Canadian Immigration podcast. They're all across the country. But I can promise you that not one of them cares more than I do. Okay, so he says, appreciate the effort you put in answering all our questions. You're very welcome, our boss. My question is, I called up CIC call center a few days back and they said the officer has put a note that they will finalize my application by the end of this month. What does that mean? Well, our boss, that means that they're actually going to be sending your passport request by the end of the month. That's the theory. Now, whether or not they actually do that, that's a different discussion, because I know the IRCC call center reps are doing the best they can, but they don't have any control over the processing of an application. All they do is relay information. So I hope for you, our boss, that that is the case and that your application is finalized at the end of the month. Make sure that you come back on my EE Live Q&A and let us know if that happens, okay? All right, now I'm just going to pull up one other thing here and make sure, take a look very carefully when my next consultation is, because I have a slew of them coming up here in the afternoon after this EE Live Q&A. So let's see when the next one starts. Okay, we're good. It's not until 2 o'clock. So I did carve out a lot of time to be able to make this EE Live Q&A awesome, especially for all of you individuals that have taken the time to sit and wait for a response. Okay, so continuing forward. So yes, our boss, make sure that you let me know if you have that result at the end of the month. Come and join us and let us know, okay? All right, Maria says, hello, sir. Congratulations on your new firm. Thanks, Maria. Appreciate that. I've received the consultation booking link, from your side, and I'm really looking forward to see you and have a peace of mind. Awesome, Maria. That's so cool. I'm really looking forward to connect with you. And like I said, I love nothing more than these consults. They're the lifeblood of my practice. They're the thing that I love the most. I get to meet so many amazing people all over the world, and they get to tolerate me for 25 minutes. All right. Okay, let's go here. We're going to jump down to Chocolate, and that is the most unbelievable name that I have ever read. Now, I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, but chocolate is one of my favorite foods, especially over Christmas. I love chocolate. All right, Chocolate, let's see what we have here. Hi, Mark. Appreciate your advice, please. Between me and hubby, I will be the primary applicant. However, I am very stable at my current job. Okay, already 8 years and counting. Once we get our PR and landed, is it possible for me and my children to go back and leave my husband to look for work? And once he is stable in Canada, then I can leave my current job to join him. If I have a provincial nomination, will this affect my PR status? Will the province be expecting me as the primary applicant to stay? I'm planning to continue my current job to keep some income coming and to support daily expenses. Chocolate, absolutely. There is nothing wrong with this at all. Zero. You are using everything in your power to successfully establish in Canada. Now remember, they're going to expect at the beginning that you do have settlement funds to get yourself settled. But if you've got an awesome job and you're sending your spouse kind of as the pioneer, the person to kind of land and get settled, there is no problem with what you've proposed here at all. And in all honesty, I cannot see a provincial nominee program having an issue with that, because your intention is to live there and you're taking the steps needed to be successful. And only successful people are able to truly take advantage of their opportunities. So I think that's a great idea, Chocolate. Okay. Asha says, Mark, are the documents to be submitted same for primary and secondary applicant? No, they're a little bit different. And in fact, your personal document checklist is formulated based on the answers that you give in your EAPR. So they do vary, they do change. By and large, there are ones that are consistent for everybody. For example, police certificates, immigration medicals, your passport. Well, for you and your spouse, you're going to have a marriage certificate or proof that you're common law. So there are similarities, but they're not all the same. All right. Okay, Bapasha says, sure, sir. Thanks a lot for always being so helpful. And congratulations for your law firm. All the very best to you. You bet, Bapasha. Okay, Addie says, if you have a pregnant spouse who is unable to complete medicals, will IRCC still process the application or wait until the medicals are passed? They will absolutely wait. They will not prejudice you and your family if your spouse is unable to complete the x-rays, right? For fear that it could affect the fetus. And so they're not going to prejudice you at all, and they will absolutely wait for that application to go through. Okay, great question. Okay, Harry says, do the call center people have additional information source than the source available to us through the portal? Harry, I'll be honest, the call center people, I have no clue what they have access to. In fact, over the last few years, we've learned that in many instances, at least in the past, when you request reconsideration, that reconsideration request essentially goes through someone that's at a call center level, which is extremely disheartening to me, and has completely taken away a lot of my desire to really even consider that as a viable option. Do we do reconsideration when a client comes to me that has had their application rejected? Yes, we do. But I've stopped relying on that because I don't hear back, for over a month usually, and even then the response is usually, oh, the officer adjudicated it properly, we're not going to reconsider it. So in those circumstances, I almost always look to federal court, which is a sad state of affairs, but it's a reality. I look to file a judicial review of that decision if I believe there was a true mistake made. Okay, Yusuf says, can you provide assistance in getting an LMIA-based job offer for EE Profile? I don't, Yusuf. I do not handle any recruiting. I'm not a recruiting agent. I have no recruiting agency. I have no affiliations with recruiters. I don't involve at all with any of that. I know what I'm good at, and I focus on that, and that's the provision of immigration legal services as a Canadian immigration lawyer. Okay, Katamba says, Mark, there's a conference in April in Canada from which I can get the visa to attend. Can the visit be useful in any way towards PR? Well, Katamba, at the end of the day, you're not getting any extra points for having visited to Canada. So from that standpoint, it doesn't add any comprehensive ranking system points. It doesn't make you better eligible under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. So from that standpoint, it doesn't provide any useful help. Now, sometimes when people come on a visitor visa, they can interact with employers who are looking to hire people. And it's far better to look for potential job opportunities in person when you're face-to-face with that employer and you can talk to them. It's far more effective to do that than by trying to do it virtually. And actually, I want to point something out to you guys, something that I haven't actually showed for a long time. And if you go to my Canadian Immigration Podcast, I did an episode on job hunting strategies with a recruiting firm that I have here in Lethbridge. And so let's see here. I don't know if maybe that'll work. Let's see. I've got so many different things. Okay, so here it is. How to obtain a Canadian job offer for express entry. So this is a couple years ago now, actually almost 3 years ago that I did this. But the information in here is just as valuable as any other. I'm going to put it into the notes right there for everybody. And so I'd encourage you to take a look at that. But yeah, the short answer for the purposes of job offers, I don't assist with that. What I do help with is employers who are looking to apply for a labor market impact assessment, which is really the basis for that job offer in the first place. And I help individuals apply for their work permits if they're coming early. So I do all of that. Okay, Ashish says, thanks, Mark. Now going to sleep. Have a great day ahead. Oh, great, Ashish. Have a great sleep, my friend. Okay, Vidya says, hi, Mark. I was nominated by Alberta. Woohoo! Alberta, yes. I love Alberta. I'm going to single-handedly make Alberta the best destination for immigrants in the country. Everybody's going to wonder why no one's moving to Toronto and Vancouver anymore. They're all coming to Calgary and Edmonton and Lethbridge, Alberta. And I'm going to say, yeah, that's me. Very cool. Well, I know that the invitation from Alberta maybe wasn't your first choice, but I'm super excited that you got it. Okay, so now my application is 5 months post AOR. I had ordered for GCMS notes in December and received the same last week. Okay, on checking the notes, I got to know that my application is on a review, but no specific reason has been highlighted. I need help in studying my notes and the documents submitted to figure out a way out of this current situation. Would highly appreciate your help. Vidya, just like I showed you guys before, just go to Holthe Immigration Law. Actually, it's Holthe Law. I'll copy this and I'll paste it right in here so that you have it. Go here and fill out this schedule a consultation, and it will instantly go into my system and we'll get you booked as soon as we possibly can. Okay, I'm happy to try to help you work through it. All right, we're just about at the end here, guys. Chocolate says, thank you very much, Mark. More blessings to you and congratulations to the new law firm. And yes, you did pronounce my profile name correctly. Chocolate lover here too. Woohoo! Awesome. So cool. Yusuf says, thanks. Mac, looks like she's got Roxy there, and that's it. All right, guys, once again, an absolutely wonderful, wonderful EE Live Q&A. I am so grateful for all the people that sent in questions. And if you want to send in a question, let me just see if I can do a little housekeeping here. One of the questions that I have is, or I should say, one of the ways that you can send in a question to me. This is what happens when you're trying to talk and move stuff around on your screen. This is the one-hit wonder Mark, Canadian immigration lawyer, who is not the most technologically savvy guy. Although I figure I'm doing a few things right. Okay, so now let's see if I can find it here. You are going to make sure. Let's see if I can find the actual link. It's been so long since I've tried to do all of this on my own. I do miss Stephanie. She was awesome. And she stayed back at, not that one. I clicked the wrong one. Seriously. She stayed back at Stringing with Billy. And I'm super happy for them. But I do miss her. Okay, so no longer do you send it to Stephanie. Okay, let's see if I can find it. This is crazy. I thought I had a nice little link that I could click on to make it pop up. So this is for sure, and let me expand this, make it bigger. Okay, so you're going to put this in the subject line, EE Live Q&A. Then you're going to type in this email address, and that will allow you that are watching on YouTube, the Canadian Immigration Institute, or right here in the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page, or watching this as a recording in the Express Entry Law private Facebook group. That's how you can get your questions to me. So send those info@holtheylaw.com. They will go to Mauricia, who actually Mauricia is awesome too. And I don't want to take anything away from Mauricia because she's fantastic. But she just works a couple hours for me. And it's unbelievable what she can accomplish in those hours. And I'm so grateful for her support. So send an email to info@holtheylaw.com, put EE Live Q&A in your subject line, and then you could potentially have your question considered in another upcoming session of the EE Live Q&A. When are they held? Remember, noon Mountain Standard Time every Tuesday, right here on the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page. This is where they're broadcast live. I think I may figure out a way to send them also to YouTube as well. But at this stage, this is kind of the way I've got it worked, and hopefully it'll work out. So send it there and you can get your questions answered. If you want to have your question answered live, then by all means, please, please, please tune in live, join this, share it with your friends, and you can get your question answered too. One last little piece of information that I want to share with you is that I am expanding. I am growing. And I will be posting job postings in the near future here for other positions for people to work within this awesome family that we call Holthe Immigration Law. So I'm super excited to have Susan join me, and you guys will absolutely love her. And she is going to be taking some of the load. So when you book consultations, at times if I'm not available right away or I'm booked up, Susan will always be there to help. And she's super knowledgeable. She's been practicing for years. She is focused exclusively on immigration and has been for the majority of her career, really for all of her legal career. So she is in a great position. And I intend to hire other lawyers across the country to work just as I do to provide this quality, awesome service. A few last little tidbits, I guess. Don't forget, guys, that this whole thing, and I'm not sure if I even have it still, is sponsored by, well, maybe I've got it under here. There it is. Haha! By the Canadian Immigration Institute, which is where I have my Express Entry complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself. And that guide, you fine folks, is right here. If I can put this up. Let's see, that's an old one. But the reality is, understand, if you type in the code, actually, I'm going to show you where to go so that you can find this. Actually, I better pull up my screen here, and I'm going to go to the Canadian Immigration Institute website, which is right here. On this website where all of my courses and guides, and I just had another person purchase my labor market impact assessment guide just last night. But in here, if you go to individual guides and then you click on learn more, and I'll be able to find probably a better link for it, but learn more and then purchase guide, and then choose the most popular, which is regular $497 US. If you click on purchase guide right there, hopefully you're following all of this, and then type in EEDIY 50 and click apply, it will then reduce the price by 50% down to $248.50. And this DIY guide is chock full of every ounce of knowledge that I have about Express Entry. And why am I offering it for that? Because it's time, right? I put in all of the time, hundreds of hours to create it. And in the end, now I'm able to offer it at that price, which is almost less than my 25-minute consultation. You get the support that you need. All right. So remember that. I hope that's of benefit, and all of the many people that have purchased subscriptions to it over the years have really made it what it is today. I also want to show you guys, as I just back up here, if you go to this page where you click learn more and you scroll down, you will see here that I have, let's see if I can find it, right here, I have a ton of video testimonials. And so you can follow those testimonials, previous people who have used the guide, and I think the vast majority of them, almost all of them, are permanent residents now today, which is super cool. All right, guys, this is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, signing off and wishing you guys all the best as you navigate this crazy world that we call Express Entry. Take care. See you next week.